What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. We've gotten a little taste of what Week 1 has to offer so far. As the Thursday games are over, there are more games being played on Friday tonight. I predict a couple of those matchups in my video earlier this week. But today, again, since it is Week 1, this is the second prediction video I am doing for Week 1. I'm predicting the games for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I got 11 games I want to talk about on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday, and of course the 1 game on Monday there as well. Or I should say the 1 Sunday game and the 1 Monday game there as well. This possibly could be the most loaded Week 1 slate we have ever seen. It probably is the most loaded Week 1 slate I've seen in my lifetime. And if you thought last year's Week 1 slate was good, man, just wait till you see a couple of these games if you're not familiar with the Week 1 schedule. But hey, guys, I appreciate all the support you've shown on my channel as of late. Thank you guys for the amount of subscribers, everything. It really does mean a lot, and it helps me out. And if you'd like to support my channel, anything you can do to interact with this channel helps. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share my videos. Anything you can do does help support me in some way, shape, or form, and I appreciate everything that you guys do. We've reached 700 subscribers, and Week 1 has barely kicked off. So that is amazing. That's way more than I thought we would get to by the end of the summer. I really appreciate your guys' support. Let's dive into Week 1. Again, I got 13 games, and of course, we're going to start with the games on Saturday. This is a loaded Week 1 slate, and there could be a lot of upsets already here in Week 1. And we're going to start with an upset potential matchup, and that's going to be between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Now, North Carolina, of course, has already played a game, and while the offense looked good in that matchup against Florida A&M, albeit that team had 26 players out, including the sack leader of the FCS last year, this North Carolina defense does have some stuff to improve, and that is my bottom bullet point there. Can the Tar Heels defense improve from last week? There were a lot of shaky plays, guys out of position, and just did not look like a very cohesive unit on the defensive end. We'll see if North Carolina can change that in that game. By the way, all lines and odds are as of recording this video. They always usually change by some amount, but gives you a pretty good idea of what the odds makers think this game is going to look like. Appalachian State comes into this game. Of course, this is their first game of the season, and they're going to look to kick things off with a win against a Power 5 program. But can App State's defense slow down this dynamic UNC offense? Again, like I said, this UNC defense does need work, but the offense was great last year, and it doesn't look like that North Carolina's going to skip a beat after losing Sam Howell at quarterback, as Drake May came in, threw for 500 touchdowns, 500 touchdowns, that would be a lot. Threw for 5 touchdowns, I believe almost 300 yards. And this rushing attack was able to get going as well. Was a very good North Carolina offense. But, hey, App State and company with Bryce Young, Cameron Peoples, a lot of weapons they have out there. They can be explosive as well, and not just in the pass game, in the run game as well. So these are going to be 2 dynamic offenses on the field. But I also believe that these defenses are capable of making stops with each other. Now, North Carolina obviously has more to prove on the defensive end. We don't know what App State's defense looks like yet. North Carolina, they definitely have work to do from that Florida A&M game. And while I think playing your first game and seeing what your team is capable of doing is a clear advantage for North Carolina, I am agreeing with the odds makers here. App State is that 1.5 point favorite, and I'm going to lean the way of App State here in this game. This is a noon game on ESPNU, and I think this is going to be a really, really good game to watch. I think it's going to be a tight battle all the way through. I think these teams are going to compete. Body blows are going to be thrown, but I think in the end, it's the App State Mountaineers that end up coming up on top. I believe in my preseason predictions, whatever, I had North Carolina winning. Again, those don't mean anything until we get into the season. I'm going with the App State Mountaineers to go ahead, win this game, and start off 2022 with a win over a Power 5 program. The NC State WOLFPACK. So North Carolina's rival here is going to go take on an in-state team in the East Carolina Pirates in what could be your first major upset of the college football season. Now, NC State obviously is going to open as the 11.5 point favorite. A lot of people expected that. But this is an East Carolina team that is going to be dangerous. They're returning Holton Ahlers at quarterback. Keaton Mitchell is a very good running back there as well. And C.J. Johnson has come off of suspension. He's probably their best wide receiver. But this balanced Pirate offense, again, they like to throw, they like to run, they like to mix up looks, everything like that. It has to be special. And it has to be, I'm not going to say perfect, but it has to be really, really good in order to get past this Wolfpack defense, because this Wolfpack defense, this could be the best group of linebackers in the country. This is a really good defensive line. Their secondary is good as well, and it's an NC State program built on their defense. This probably is going to be the best defense that East Carolina faces all year, and this offense has to be up to the task. Now, they have the weapons to do it, but Holton Ahlers may very well have to play the game of his life. Now, let's look on the other end. The Wolfpack's run game is going to need a little bit of help here. They're losing a couple guys out of the running back room. Now, from what I've seen in fall spring camp, really shouldn't be much of an issue. It seemed to be fine there playing against that NC State defense. But, again, you never really know until you get into an in-game situation. So NC State may be needing a guy to step up and make a name for himself. But, again, and also that Pirates front seven has some really experienced players on the defensive line. So we'll see what happens there. ECU secondary is going to be tested. Devin Leary, I think, is going to take more shots down the field this year, even with Emeka Emezi no longer with the team. I think he has the weapons there that, if he wanted to, he could take a couple shots downfield and really test the depth of this East Carolina secondary. Of course, this is an East Carolina secondary that lost probably its two best defensive backs from last year. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I definitely think East Carolina is going to make this game closer than a lot of people think, but I don't know that Holton Ahlers and company are going to have enough to pull off the upset. I like East Carolina to keep this game close. In fact, I think this is going to be a 3-point game, but I am leaning in favor of the NC State Wolfpack. I think that defense is going to be too much for them, and Devin Leary and company are good enough to put up the points needed to go ahead and win this game. This is the noon game on ESPN. I got the Wolfpack winning this one by 3. Close matchup. East Carolina gives them a scare, but NC State comes out on top. The Arizona Wildcats are going on the road. This is a much improved Wildcats team, and they're going to be taking on the San Diego State Aztecs, one of the favorites in the Mountain West Conference. This is a revamped, not only offensive team, but a revamped defensive team as well. This is going to be a much improved Arizona Wildcats team. But the thing I'm more interested in is that offense for Arizona. How does it look? They brought in Jacob Cowing, a wide receiver from UTEP that was really good last year. Jaden DeLaura, who was good as the Washington State quarterback, is coming in to be that quarterback for Arizona. But the Aztecs have one of the best defenses in the entire nation. Will Arizona be up to task? Again, this is a much improved offense, but with San Diego State and just the way that they're able to defend, yeah, it's going to be really hard for Arizona to get a whole lot going. But I do think that Arizona is going to be good enough to have some big plays here and there. That being said, let's look at San Diego State's offense with Braxton Burmeister from Virginia Tech coming in to play quarterback. This should be a much more reliable Aztec offense. The Aztecs have been relying on their defense for the past couple of years, and now with the weapons that they have on the offensive end, yeah, they do lose a couple guys, and that does include that starting running back, but wide receiver Jesse Matthews is back along with some other weapons. Braxton Burmeister and company with San Diego State, I think, is going to be a much improved offense this year out of the Aztecs. And the Aztecs also have a new shiny stadium to play in. Snapdragon Stadium's first game, I expect an electric atmosphere. And while I think Arizona can keep this game closer than the 6 points that UC odds makers are giving San Diego State, I just don't think Arizona is improved enough to come away with a win here in this one, and I think the San Diego State defense stands up to task. This is the 3:30 game on CBS, of course, on your Saturday afternoon of college football. I think this is going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. Now, I could see San Diego State pulling away from this one and winning by 20, but I think Arizona's too improved to let that happen. I think Arizona's going to keep this game closer than expected, but I do think they are still going to drop the game. San Diego State wins by 4. This is already one of the biggest matchups in the group of 5, and it's only week 1. The odds makers are giving Houston, the 24th ranked team in the nation, 4 points against one of the surprise teams from last year, the UTSA Roadrunners. And while people think this UTSA Roadrunners team may end up falling off, they're not going to. They return a lot. Frank Harris, Zachary Franklin, along with some other receivers. Yes, they lose Sincere McCormick, but Traylon Smith comes over from Arkansas. This is still going to be a really, really good UTSA team. Make no mistake about it. What to watch for in this game? Look at the quarterback battle. These are possibly two of, if not the best, 2 quarterbacks in the group of 5. Clayton Tune, if you're going to want to look for a guy that can seemingly come out of nowhere this year and make that step to the next level, Clayton Tune may very well be the guy. I think he has great mechanics. He has good weapons now that Houston's brought in some transfers so that it's not all Nathaniel Dell at the wide receiver position. But who steps up in place of Alton McCaskill for the Houston Cougars? They got a plethora of running backs back there that are going to get playing time in this game. Who is going to be that lead guy? Now that Alton McCaskill is going to be out for the year, a sad injury. And let's look at the defensive side, right? Both of these defensive lines are excellent at creating pressure, at least they were last year. Well, who's going to get more pressure on the quarterback? Houston loses a second-round NFL caliber talent. Maybe even you could say he's a first-round talent, but he went in the second round. But Houston's got an NFL-level talent leaving that defensive line. UTSA got some players leaving that defense as well. These are going to be two defenses that I do expect to get pressure to the quarterback, but whichever team can create more pressure might have a better shot of coming away with a win in this game. I like both of these teams, and in fact, I have picked both of these teams to win their respective conferences in preseason, and this could be a very telling game, and this is a huge game in the Group of 5 race to get to a New Year's 6 bowl game. I would like to lay the points with UTSA here, although I am going to pick Houston to be that outright winner. The 3:30 game on the CBS Sports Network, you don't want to miss it. This is going to be a phenomenal game to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of offense here, but I think all in all, I give the edge to Houston's defense, which is what I think helps them stand up when they need it the most, and I think Houston's going to be able to win the game here. 37-34 I have as my final score prediction. I'm laying the points with UTSA. I like the Roadrunners, and I think they have more than enough to pull out the outright win, but I think Houston's the best team in the Group of 5 this year, and I think that defense will be too much. They stand up to the Roadrunners and hand them their first loss of the season as Houston picks up their first win in 2022. All right, let's talk about another Group of 5 team, another team in the American. They're going on the road as well, but they have a much tougher opponent. The 23rd ranked Cincinnati Bearcats are going on the road to face the 19th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, and this is a very overlooked matchup. Of course, we all know about some of the matchups that are going to come later in this video, but this game right here, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Now, Arkansas is the 6.5-point favorite, and rightfully so. Cincinnati is a team that made the college football playoff a season ago. They probably will not be able to do that again this season, but Cincinnati, this is still going to be a really good team in 2022. Yes, I know they lost a lot, and I can sit here and list off the number of names, but let's look at what Cincinnati has right now. Ben Bryant probably going to end up being that quarterback, although Luke Fickell hasn't named his starter, but he's kind of keeping quiet, much like Brian Kelly is with the LSU quarterback situation. We'll talk about that here later this video. But both of these teams love to run the football. In fact, Arkansas was the leader in the SEC in terms of rush yards per game, and Cincinnati had a great rushing attack with Jerome Ford last year. Now, both of these guys do lose some respective pieces off of that running back room. But I think both these rushing attacks are going to be good, and they're kind of an air-it-out second kind of team. Now, I think KJ Jefferson has the wide receivers, and especially from what Arkansas's wide receivers have shown in camp this this spring, summer, and now into the fall, I think KJ Jefferson is going to have a lot more opportunities to take shots downfield at multiple different receivers and not have to target only one guy like he did with Treylon Burks last year. But when I look at Cincinnati here too, this is a team that still has weapons on the passing attack. So we'll see what happens there. Both front sevens are going to be key into getting them to W. Again, who can create pressure to the quarterback, who can stop the run, who can defend the shallow crossing routes, going to be the key here. But as I just talked about, KJ Jefferson and these Hogs receivers are going to be the difference in this game, and that's why I feel like Arkansas is going to pull out the win. Closer than Vegas has it, but I still think Arkansas may very well end up controlling this game from start to finish, and I have them pulling out the win. Cincinnati's going to make this game competitive, I feel, but I do think Arkansas pulls away with the win. 26-23 is my final score prediction. This is a 3:30 game on ESPN. The Oregon Ducks are going to go face the Georgia Bulldogs, and Georgia, of course, reigning national champions. Georgia's going to face a lot of familiar faces with this Oregon Ducks team. Oregon has Bo Nix, who, of course, Georgia saw every year in an Auburn uniform. Now they're going to see him in a different color scheme, and we'll see what that experience leads with this Oregon offense. And then Dan Lanning, the former defensive coordinator with Georgia, again, just won a national championship with the Bulldogs, now has to come over, and his first game as a head coach is going to be against his former team. So there's going to be a lot of chess being played in this game between Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart. I can assure you of that. Even Bo Nix may throw his piece on the board there as well. There might be a third chess player in this game, and it very well could end up being Bo Nix. Now, let's look at some things as a football aspect. Oregon's offensive line versus Georgia's front seven. How well is Oregon able to protect Bo Nix, give running backs the hole, give Bo Nix time to maybe take some shots downfield, because that's what's going to have to happen if Oregon is going to want to win this game here. Georgia has a great front seven, and something that's not on the slide here is Georgia's secondary. Could be one of the best secondaries in the entire nation. Georgia's more than capable of pushing for another national title this upcoming season, and a lot of people are picking them to roll over the Ducks, and rightly so. This Georgia offense may very well, in my mind, be better than what last year had to offer. And I know that sounds crazy even with all that they lost, but Stetson Bennett is a year more experienced, and he probably is going to end up being a year better there as well. So can't wait to see him get on the field there. I do think Oregon's going to keep this one closer than people think, but again, Georgia is just too good. I can sit here and list all of the defensive players they've lost, but I mean, when you look at the talent that Georgia still has here, it is insane. There is so much talent still on this Georgia defense. It's just going to be too much for the Ducks to handle, and Georgia's offense is going to do what they did last year. Put up as many points as they need to put the game away. 31-17 is my final score prediction. I think the Ducks are going to struggle to get rolling here. I think they're going to have some good moments, but Georgia's defense will be too much for the Ducks, and I got Georgia winning 31-17. This is a 3:30 game on ABC. Going to be played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. BYU Cougars are going to go on the road to take on the South Florida Bulls. And this is definitely an interesting game here. So BYU is ranked to start out the year, and they have pretty much everybody coming back on this team. But is Christopher Brooks, the transfer from Cal, going to be able to fill in the shoes of Tyler Algier, the stud running back that has left this team for the NFL? Is he going to be as good as Tyler Algier? My guess is going to be probably not, but he doesn't have to be. Jaron Hall in his passing attack is going to be able to get going, and they're bringing in some guys this year that can help with that. Will this rushing attack be as effective as it's been in previous years when Tyler Algier was that back? That's the big question mark. Other than that, they return pretty much everyone on defense, and it's going to be a really, really good defensive team there as well. Now let's look at the South Florida side. Gary Bohannon, the former Baylor transfer, has to be phenomenal in this game. Again, BYU, that 11.5-point favorite, and rightfully so. South Florida is a team that hasn't been great over the past couple of seasons. They're going to get better this year, but it's a tough schedule, and there are a lot of new players. And with Gary Bohannon coming into this team, we'll see how well he plays within this system, and we'll see if he can get some things going for South Florida in this game. Now, the Bulls line needs to be aggressive, not just offensively, but defensively as well. They got to be able to hold the experience and the talent coming back on the BYU line of scrimmages. And honestly, I just don't think South Florida is going to be able to do it. I think BYU's returning too much. This is going to be a really, really good football team. And I got them winning this one by 14. 4 o'clock game on ESPNU. BYU pulls away comfortably with the win in South Florida, although I do think South Florida is going to pose more of a challenge than BYU would like, but BYU still walks away with the win. This is an underrated game that is being overlooked. Army and Coastal Carolina. This is going to be a very interesting game right here. If you have ESPN Plus, tune into this game because that's where it is going to be played. This is going to be a game to watch. Army and Coastal Carolina, I know the Group of 5 matchup of the week is Houston and UTSA, but this matchup right here is going to play a key role in also that Group of 5 battle for a spot in a New Year's Six bowl game. Grayson McCall returns for Coastal Carolina. Is he going to have the weapons, are his weapons going to be good enough to prove to be as effective as some of the Coastal Carolina offenses that we've seen in the past years? Grayson McCall comes back, and that's a huge get back for Coastal Carolina, but a lot of the weapons from last year, highly likely, including some talent at running back as well, are gone off this Coastal Carolina team. So there are definitely guys that they have to replace and guys that are going to have some coming out parties for Coastal Carolina to comfortably pull ahead and win this game. Army's offense, we know what it is. It's best to cut right to the chase with Army. Their triple-style rushing offense. Are the Chanticleers going to be able to contain the run? If the Chanticleers can't contain the run, boy, it could prove to be a long day for Coastal Carolina, as is with every team that ends up playing Army. If you can't defend the run, it's going to be a tough time when you play the Black Knights. And Andre Carter can go absolutely ballistic this year. A projected first-round NFL draft pick, I believe was second in the nation last year in sacks, only behind Will Anderson. He is a phenomenal player at the linebacker position for Army, and he's going to give Coastal Carolina some things to think about. But I think Coastal Carolina, as long as Grayson McCall is there, I think he has enough weapons to be able to pull out a win here against an Army team that, again, I think is going to be very, very good this year. But it is definitely an Army team that maybe has some things still to figure out. Coastal Carolina's got things to figure out too, but I still think the Chanticleers are going to walk away winners here in this one. Again, this is the game on ESPN+, a 7 o'clock game. I encourage you to watch this one. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. 28-27 is my final score prediction. I think the Chanticleers pull away late and are able to get past the Army Knights for the first win of 2022. Okay, here's one of the other premier matchups this week, and a matchup that I personally am really looking forward to. The Utah Utes are coming rolling into the swamp to face off against the Florida Gators, who now have Billy Napier as the head coach of that team, and Anthony Richardson has been talked about that if Florida can exceed expectations this year, maybe make a run in the SEC East, Anthony Richardson could very well be a guy that we see in New York. But let's not focus on that right now. What do these teams have to do to win this game? Well, Rising had shoulder surgery this offseason, and that shoulder apparently is feeling really good. He's been able to take some shots down the field in practices and scrimmages. He's going to test Florida's downfield ability in this game. How well can Florida's secondary, that has to fill the hole of Khair Elam, how well is Florida's secondary going to be able to contain the deep ball from this Utah offense? Not only that, this Utah rushing offense is going to be one of the best rushing offenses in the nation. It's going to be really good. We'll see what it can do there as well. But you got to look on the other end as well. I talked about Anthony Richardson. Can be a sneaky guy to make the conversation interesting for a spot in New York. Well, he is a dangerous threat. He is a dangerous dual threat attack, right? He poses just an immense amount of dual threat ability. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. He can really do it all. Anthony Richardson's a guy that this Utah defense is going to have to watch out for. But what do we know about Utah's defense? Well, first of all, it's physical, and it always plays physical, tough-nosed football. Utah is a team that likes those grind-it-out, slow-type games. And, well, Florida, simply put, is going to have to out-Utah, which I honestly don't see happening. I don't think Florida's going to be as physical of a team as Utah is in this game, and I think that is the big difference in this game. Couple the fact with that I'm higher on Utah than most people out there. I really like what the Utes have this season, and Utah is that 3-point favorite. I'm taking the Utes to go ahead and win this game 31-27. This is the 7 o'clock game on ESPN. Tune into this one. This one's going to be a lot of fun to watch as well. But I really like what this Utah team has, and I think they're just going to be too physical, especially on the defensive end. And I think they're going to be able to get past the Florida Gators in the swamp. Here is the game of the week and the matchup that every college football fan is looking forward to. You guys know the logo that I proudly wear. It's on the screen. The Ohio State Buckeyes, the number 2 ranked team in the nation, are going to open up with a top 5 matchup at home against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, the Buckeyes have some new turf on that field, and we'll get to see that in action as well. But more importantly, we'll get to see this new look Ohio State defense on the field as well. And the question is, how improved is this Buckeye defense really, right? How improved has this Buckeye defense been? It's a Buckeye defense that's been scrutinized over the past couple of seasons. It's what maybe kept them out of the playoff last year, and it's also what possibly kept them from winning the national championship game a couple of years ago. But Ohio State did not mess around. They went and they hired Jim Knowles. We'll see how improved that Buckeye defense really is, especially that run defense, and it's going to have to be good in this game because even though Notre Dame does not have Kyron Williams, Chris Tyree is a speedy guy, and Notre Dame has a lot of talent on the offensive line coming back. Now, Notre Dame is dealing with the injury bug, and I get that as well. How much did Marcus Freeman learn from that bowl game where, let's be honest, things were not great in that bowl game? I know it was a close game and Oklahoma State had to pull off a comeback to get it there, but Notre Dame allowed that comeback to happen, first of all, and even when they were in the lead, there were still some things that looked shaky. And with new starting quarterback Tyler Buckner this year for Notre Dame, how does this offense look? And more importantly, are they going to be able to match the explosiveness that this Ohio State offense is going to bring to the table? This is an Ohio State offense that very well could be the best offense in the nation when everything is said and done. And it flat out is a Buckeye offense that I expect to score 40 points a game. And I think that's what happens here. Now, I don't know that, and again, it's to no fault of Notre Dame, but they've been dealing with injuries. Calvin Austin went out with an injury. He was going to be their best wide receiver. They still have Michael Mayer there, and Ohio State's getting 17 points in this matchup. For one, I think that's way too high. I think Notre Dame's going to make it a closer game, but I do think the Buckeyes are going to be able to pull away late here in this one. I don't think Notre Dame is going to match the offensive intensity that Ohio State brings to the field, and I do expect that Ohio State defense to be better. Notre Dame is going to score points and give this defense a good test, but this Ohio State offense is just simply too good. This is the primetime game on ABC. College game day will be in Columbus as well. I got the Buckeyes winning 42-27. I do think that Ohio State's going to score quite the fair few amount of points. And again, just simply put, for probably the fifth time already, I don't think Notre Dame's offense is capable, as of right now, of keeping up with Ohio State's offense. I'll take the Buckeyes on Saturday night. Pac-12 after dark action. Let's talk about that for a little bit, shall we? Boise State is going to go on the road to play the Oregon State Beavers, and this is a very interesting matchup. We'll talk about this one here fairly quickly, and then we'll get into the game on Sunday and Monday. Look, Chance Nolan is back for Oregon State, and he was pretty solid last year, but he's going to need his wide receivers to be on the same page, and they got to limit turnovers. That's just something that Oregon State cannot afford to do offensively. They cannot turn the ball over to this Boise State offense, and it's a Boise State defense that will force turnovers. So even if Oregon State doesn't make a mistake, Boise State, this defense was good enough last year for you to make a mistake without realizing you made a mistake. That's just how good Boise State's defense was last year. Now, while this offense, there was no real problems with the offense last year. Boise State was able to get the offense moving at times last year, but it lacked one key thing that I think they're going to need throughout this season, and that's explosiveness. Boise State's most explosive player in Khalil Shakir at wide receiver is gone. So Boise State's going to need a lot of guys to step up, especially in that wide receiver room. Running game's going to have to get going a lot more for Boise State this year as well. But Hank Bachmeier comes back, has a good offensive line in front of him. It's just how explosive is this Boise State offense? They're going to have to prove their explosiveness in this first game of the year. Boise State does have the edge on defense, as I've talked about. This was a really good defense last year. It's a defense for Oregon State that it's fine, but there are definitely a lot of things to work on with the Beavers this offseason. I think this is going to be a very good game to watch. If you're willing, stay up late to watch this game because I do think it's going to be a phenomenal one to watch. But I think Chance Nolan and Oregon State are going to get this one done. Behind home field advantage, I do like the Beavers to pull this one out barely. A 10:30 game on ESPN. Again, stay up late to watch this one if you can. I think it's going to be a phenomenal back and forth type of affair. I think it's going to be a really good game. But I think Oregon State, especially if they can limit turnovers, will be able to pull this game out. And I don't know that Boise State's offense is going to be as explosive as it needs to be in week one. That might be a week 2 or a week 3 thing where we start to see Boise State make those explosive big game plays. They're going to have a few in this one, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get past Oregon State. 27-26, my prediction. I got the Beavers winning this one. All right, those were all the matchups on Saturday. Let's get into the Sunday game now. Florida State and LSU. Florida State has already played a game this year, and, well, their run offense looked fantastic. I believe they had over 400 yards of rushing offense, which is amazing. That's exactly what you wanted to see if you are a Florida State fan. You wanted to see that run game get going. You wanted to see that offensive line start to create holes. The offensive line and the run game are starting to look like what it needs to be under Mike Norvell in order to be successful. But this Florida State team is going to have a much tougher time with this LSU defense and this LSU offense as well. It's a Florida State defense that held Duquesne to only 7 points. And that was a good, experienced Duquesne team. But Florida State is going to have a lot tougher of a time here in this one. Now, LSU has not named their starting quarterback publicly yet. Brian Kelly does have a starter in mind. He already knows who is going to roll out for the first drive in this game. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see if we see both quarterbacks here playing in this game. Now, I, for one, believe that JT Daniels will end up being that starter, but if Garrett Nussmeier rolls out there as that starting quarterback on the very first drive, that's not going to surprise me either. I think both guys can be pretty solid options for LSU. Nussmeier may be the higher upside option, so we'll see if Brian Kelly saw that and maybe Nussmeier gets the start this year. Daniels kind of plays backup, but I think Daniels' experience is going to really help in this game, and Nussmeier, what could be big play ability, is going to play factor as well. So again, whichever quarterback starts, I think LSU has the edge in this game. Florida State was able to get that run offense going, yes, but they're going to have a lot tougher of a time to get that run offense going against this LSU defense, and this Knowles defense that was pretty good against Duquesne is going to have a much tougher time against this LSU offense that's going to be able to throw a lot of different looks and packages at you. LSU is the 3-point favorite. Well, I got them winning by a touchdown in New Orleans in their backyard. This is in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, I believe. Nope, that's in Atlanta. No, I'm wrong. This is going to be played in the Superdome. Sorry, getting all these stadiums mixed up. I apologize. But Sunday, 7:30 Eastern on ABC. This is going to be a fantastic game. And I think it's going to be a good test for both of these teams. But I do think LSU is going to be able to pull this one out within their own backyard. 30-23, my final score prediction. And your final game I'm covering, the number 4 team in the nation, the Clemson Tigers, are playing on Monday night. And they're going to go on and face the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, a team that needs a lot of work. But so does Clemson, especially in one side of the ball, and that's the offense. Can Clemson and DJ Uiagalelei fix the offensive woes? More specifically, can they fix that pass game? It's a pass game that has struggled last year. Did struggle last year. Now, it had some good moments. That is true. But overall, Clemson offensively just was not where it needs to be. And that's what led to the disappointing season that Clemson had last year. I put that in quotes because it was still a double-digit win season. So, but again, that's not the expectation at Clemson. The expectation as of late has been make the playoff, win the ACC, get to a national championship game. That's what Clemson is aiming to do this season, but they have to get that offensive issues fixed. Now, the Jackets' run game, I think, is going to be good enough, even with Jahmyr Gibbs, to pose more of a threat than Clemson fans might think to this defensive line. But at the same time, this defensive line is going to be one of, if not the best defensive lines in the entire country. And Tech's defense has to expect the worst. They have to expect that Clemson is going to get this offense figured out. They have to expect DJ Uiagalelei to take some downfield shots like we saw from him in the COVID year when Trevor Lawrence went down in 2020, fell ill with COVID. Clemson's got to be able to get things back. Now, Clemson's got to be able to get that offensive rhythm back. Now, should Clemson lose this game to Georgia Tech? No, but Georgia Tech gave them a scare last year. And I think early, you might see Georgia Tech do the same thing. But I do think this Clemson team, especially offensively, is going to be more improved, and I really don't see Clemson having any problem with this. This, of course, the game on Labor Day, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, and I have the Clemson Tigers winning this one comfortably. Again, you see they score 40 points. I think Clemson's offense is going to be better here, and I think Clemson should easily be able to win this game. And with that, those are some 13 games to watch out for. I realize there are more exciting games, and you can leave more predictions down in the comment if you'd like. But this is a loaded Week 1 slate, and I can't wait to sink my teeth in the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We got some games on tonight, though. I believe 7 or 8 games on tonight. and I'll be posting some updates for you guys on my community tab as I did yesterday. So thank you guys so much for watching. There's going to be a news video coming out later today. Some exciting news with the college football playoff. I'll talk about that in my news video, as well as give you an injury update. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.